Yet we understand that the CDF has sent letters to an undisclosed number of former soldiers saying that he wants to take away their service recognition. Do you think that this is an appropriate action at this time?
Well, the Chief of the Defence Force has a statutory command under the Defence Act, and part of that is to restore professionalism in the Defence Force. So there's obviously got to be fairly strong measures taken in a case where we know that war crimes occurred, even though no one's been convicted as yet. And they can't really wait until the convictions occur, or else Australia's international reputation will suffer and the International Criminal Court will take an interest. And it's the mixing of the different types of law that's causing the problem. In this particular case, there's a line in the Brereton report that says, in all good conscience, certain awards can't be retained. And that was a bit of a hint from Brereton that some people should consider surrendering them. And so the steps that are being taken are very much following up that Brereton recommendation.
So you're saying that the Army, therefore, should be able to take away these awards regardless of criminal action based on its own investigation of what's alleged to have occurred?
Well, it's the same administrative law that applies to any other Australian. You're given a show cause and you get a chance to answer the reason why the step is being taken, and you get 28 days to reply, just the same as you do in any administrative law action. This is a little bit emotive because, once again, people are confusing citations with medals. But quite frankly, certain things occurred in Afghanistan that we know occurred, and certain people in the command chain either should have known or have been covering it up or have been obfuscating it.
How do we know exactly what occurred in Afghanistan and what is the burden of proof here? As you say, we haven't had any criminal convictions so far. We've had the Brereton report, but so there hasn't been natural justice, if you like, applied to any alleged crimes.
Yeah, well, I see a lot of people would disagree with that, and most lawyers would, for the simple reason that in criminal proceedings, it's beyond all reasonable doubt. In administrative law proceedings, it's on the balance of probability. And the Brereton report was based on a 4-year, very intensive investigation. And there's absolutely no doubt these war crimes occurred. The fact no one has been convicted yet is a separate problem. And people are saying, well, basically you can't do anything until anyone's convicted in a court. That's not true. That's not how the law actually works in this case. And people are being asked to show cause why certain actions shouldn't be taken. If they're innocent, then obviously the actions won't be taken. If their argument as to their responsibility isn't convincing, then their award might be revoked. But the process is quite a fair one, and it involves natural justice. And the idea that you require a criminal conviction to take away someone's award just won't work in practice, because if we don't do this, the International Criminal Court will take an interest, and Australia's reputation and the reputation of the Defence Force will continue to suffer.
But the thing with the CDF is that he's making recommendations about what happens to the recognition and decorations of other soldiers, but he's also the person who made the decision about his own Distinguished Service Cross not being in jeopardy. Surely a conflict of interest there. Here's how he handled that issue before Senate estimates.
I could see the perception of the conflict of interest, but having read the complete Brereton report, I felt that this could be done by me and it could then be considered comprehensively by the Deputy Prime Minister.
What he's actually saying there, Chris, is someone has to make the decision, and the buck stops with him as the Chief of the Defence Force. Whether his medal needs to be taken away or it should be considered isn't his job. It's the job of the Defence Minister.
So should he have brought that to the Defence Minister's attention and let the Defence Minister make that decision?
What he said to Senate estimates is exactly that. He's referred it upstairs.
Do you think he should keep that cross?
Look, I don't know enough about the particular circumstances of any of these cases to judge that, but I certainly think, to be fair, it would have to be considered. There were failures in the command chain at various levels. And one of the really interesting ones is simply, and I'm not sure whether Brereton asked this question or not, but they should have lined up all the people who were the commanders on the ground in Afghanistan and all the people who were the commanders of the Combined Task Force and said, did you know the SASR was running a pub at Tarin-Kowt? And it'd be interesting to know what the yes or no answers are to that and what the consequences of that would be.
Neil James says a long way for this issue to run, I fear. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Chris.